NewsChannel 5 Network. This is Urban Outlook. This program sponsored by Connie London, a certified agent at the Insurance Exchange.
Hello and welcome to Urban Outlook. I'm April Eaton. Thank you so much for being with us today. Well, Historic Nashville, Inc. is celebrating 50 years of being a fixture in this community. This is an organization that's focused on making sure that we preserve our beautiful properties and landmarks and places that are full of rich history. They've got a big gala that's coming up pretty soon that we will talk about, but we also want to talk about the importance of preservation, especially in the Nashville area where we're just seeing nothing but growth and booming and all sorts of building going on. Joining me today to talk about what's going on with Historic Nashville, Inc. is Trey Bruce. He is the Historic Nashville Vice President of the Board. Thank you so much for being here. And Robbie Jones is also on the board of Historic Nashville and past officer as well, but still a very strong board member there. Thank you both for being with us today. We appreciate that.
Welcome.
Well, 50 years in the business for you guys in this organization of making sure that you protect and preserve the important pieces of Nashville. Talk a little bit about how this organization came about as you look back over the course of the 50 years of great work.
Well, we were founded in 1968 as a statewide nonprofit. In the early 70s, we rallied around preserving the Ryman Auditorium, which was going to be demolished. And we decided that our mission needed to focus on Nashville only. We changed our name to Historic Nashville, and we've been focusing on preserving Nashville's historic unique places ever since. And this year's our 50th anniversary, so that's the big landmarks: the Union Station, Hermitage Hotel, the Ryman, Lower Broadway, East Nashville are the ones that really rallied the troops in the past.
It's interesting because when you look around Nashville proper today, you see nothing but cranes and construction and tall buildings going up and condo units and all sorts of stuff. So when you think about preserving the history of Nashville, and growing Nashville at the same time, how do you balance that so you still keep the rich history but watch the progress as well?
You do. You need new buildings and you need the town to progress, but people move to Nashville and visit Nashville every day because of our story. And a lot of the story comes from locations where things happened, and we can point to a building and say, this happened there in such and such a year. And that gives us our heritage and our pedigree. It tells people who we are, and it's nice to look around and see a compromise, how we build and how we preserve.
Does it get to be tough though sometimes, because you got to let some go in order to have the progress, but you got to make sure you keep the important ones in place? How do you do that? Picking
your battles is the tough part. People move to Nashville because we're unique. We're not like any other city in the country, perhaps in the world. We're a music city, and they like that. That's what draws people here. And our job is to help preserve those places that make us unique. We don't want to become any town USA. And so, but there's so much going on. You can't. It's like chasing fires. You know, you can't put them all out. You just pick the ones that are most important, and that's what we've been doing. This year it was Fort Negley, where Music Row obviously is something we've been working on for the last 3 years. Music sites, urban sites, neighborhoods, churches, schools, all of it. And that's what the Nashville Nine list helps us focus on each year. The community tells us what's most important to them, and then we focus on those properties for that year.
The Nashville Nine list. Talk a little bit more about that.
We founded that in 2009 as an annual list of most endangered properties. We modeled it on the National Trust, which has the national list, and so we modeled it on that program. And that year we focus on those 9 properties to try to advocate on their behalf, and those are nominated by members of the community. And so each year we sort of, those 9 rise to the top. And so, and we have some are success stories, some are losses. We have learning lessons along the way. Some are still in limbo, but we keep an eye on them. We monitor them throughout the year.
This year we culled the 9 down to 1.
Okay.
Because we really had a situation with Fort Negley. And we wanted to make sure that we advocate that it be returned to and as a park. And we have Metro Parks working with us on it, city leaders, but it's a significant union fort right in the middle of an urban downtown area. So it's important that we tell that story, and it's been in limbo. So we just focused all 9 properties on that one this year.
That makes sense as well.
Yeah, it was important.
Tell them about our annual meeting last month.
Our annual meeting last month, which I wasn't there for.
Uh-oh.
I had kidney stones.
You're the VP. Oh, well, no, you had a very good reason.
Kix Brooks was our speaker. He's very passionate about Fort Nagley, which we were both just going down parallel tracks. We didn't know he was doing it on his own, and so we kind of brought him into the fold, and he really helped us kick off a campaign. And we managed to pull the building out of a tight spot where relative to development. So it's just sitting there now, and we're all rallying around trying to get it returned to a park so we can tell that park story, because it's sat there in anonymity for years.
Right.
And it's a great story that people need to hear.
Absolutely. My son and I walked through there and just sort of feel the history and read the history and sort of get that knowledge. And it almost seems like a shame that people don't realize the importance of gaining that knowledge. Or maybe they do.
You know,
what do you think?
I think I've been in Nashville for 31 years, and I've driven by that park and never knew it was there for so long.
Wow.
And only after I got into preservation did I realize it was there, sitting among those trees.
Yeah.
And what a big part it played in Nashville history, and we just don't know it.
Yeah.
And the story needs to be told, and I think it'll be a big plus for Nashville.
Well, it seems like you all kind of have 2 pieces to your story then here as an organization that's been around for 50 years, not just protecting those places that matter, but also telling those stories. To get back to your point, you all have a lot of big activities and events coming up that are going to help get the word out, and I hope help bring more volunteers to the effort. So talk a little bit about some of the celebratory things that you all have coming up this month that will help you sort of shine some light not only on historic Nashville, but Fort Nagley and some of the other properties that you protect.
I'll let Trey talk about our upcoming event, and then I'll talk about the things that we have coming on after that.
Excellent.
Right. Well, our big event, starting our 50th year, is the Night of Songwriters, March the 10th. Historic Greens Grocery and historic Leapers Fork. And I've found in the past that one of the easiest ways to rally attention is just to let people have a good time and not bang them over the head with all of our issues. So we're going to kind of let our members and anyone else that comes out for this let their hair down and just have fun with us. We'll talk a little bit about history and preservation, but I've gathered a couple fellow songwriters, Matresa Berg, Chuck Jones, and Holly Williams. So we're all 4 Tennesseans, and 2 from Memphis and 2 from Nashville, and we're sympathetic to what's going on in Nashville from both sides. So it'll be pretty warm and fuzzy. All of us have written a lot of hits and a lot of songs that aren't hits. So it'll be it's a real intimate setting at Greens Grocery. Greens Grocery was an old grocery store that goes way back in the 1800s with at Leapers Fork, was since a barbecue joint and then one thing or another, and now it's one of the most special music venues we have. And it's going to seat 100 people. It's $100 a ticket. There will be food catered by Puckett's. There will be libations
by Yazoo.
And it's just going to be really warm and fuzzy, and it's in a situation where the artists and the songwriters can talk to the people in the crowd. It's a really nice, tight place in a beautiful setting, and we're just going to raise some money.
And you rattled off those names, but I want you to take a step back and talk about especially your background and some of those hundreds of songs that you all have written and stars that you all work for, so people know the quality and the caliber of the entertainment.
Well, Matresa Berg is a 3-time Grammy-nominated songwriter. She was born here in Nashville. She wrote Wild Angels. She wrote You and Tequila for Kenny Chesney. She wrote Strawberry Wine for Dina Carter.
One of my favorite songs.
And Wrong Side of Memphis. I mean, the list of songs goes on and on and on, and to hear her sing them is a unique experience. Chuck Jones, Chuck and I moved here from Memphis together with just a couple of months in between. And Chuck has had cuts by Trace Atkins, Jake Owen, Chris Ledoux's Cadillac Ranch. He's a virtuoso guitar player, great soulful singer. And then we have Holly Williams, who needs very little introduction. She's Hank Sr.'s granddaughter, and owns White's Mercantile and places like that here in Nashville. And she is, she's what a real singer-songwriter is. Her performance is amazing. She's a total stunner in every way. Her lyrics are great. Hearing these songs come out of her, she's a walking timepiece, basically. And me, I've had a bunch of cuts along the way.
Modest.
So modest, isn't he?
Well, I won an Emmy, and I've had cuts by ZZ Top and Carrie Underwood and Leonard Skinner and Trace Adkins and Reba and Trisha and
wow,
you know, Randy
Powerful.
Travis, thank God. So it just goes on and on. I've had a nice long career.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent. It seems like that's key too, right? So not only do you have members of the community who are interested and involved, but our musicians and members of the community who are powerful forces in this area as well involved. That must help carry historic Nashville further, I would think, because of the fact that you've got sort of a well-balanced group of people who are all interested for the same cause. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yes, it's true. We're in Music City. It took us a long time to sort of break through that music industry world, because they're an insular community, but once you get to know them and become friends with them, then they connect with you, and we realize that they're also preservationists. They're also storytellers. We're storytellers.
And they're part of the community.
Right. I'm a historian. I tell stories. He's a songwriter. He tells stories. And when we realize that those two things mesh and go together, then we really can, you know, the forces come together. So, but one of the things that you're talking about, how we educate the community, are like our behind-the-scene tours. And we've discovered that is one of our most popular programs. The members, it's a members-only benefit, and so members get to go on these special tours of special places that maybe they wouldn't normally get to go into, or if they are able to get into them, we provide a person who can lead the tour that is very knowledgeable. So like just recently we had a tour of Woolworths on Fifth Avenue, the drugstore where the civil rights sit-ins took place in 1960, and had David Ewing lead a special tour of that place.
Amazing.
So we do things of that nature. I'm going to be on the team coming up this year of a team of historians. We're going to lead a tour of women's history in downtown Nashville, walking tour, and it's going to include people like Diane Nash, who was a female leader that we all know about. We're going to do a tour of immigrant history in downtown Nashville, stories that people have never heard before about the people that used to live downtown, Italians and Greeks and all the people from all, you know, Germans from all over the world who came to Nashville and landed downtown and then moved out.
Don't forget the Irish.
And the Irish, everyone. But we tell those stories. The Jewish community used to be downtown before they moved out to the West End, and so we've got all kinds of awesome stories to tell. And then we identify them to those places that still stand that we want to preserve, where you can actually see where these things happen. And what you mentioned before about people, they do want to learn about Nashville's history. When they come to Nashville, they want to learn more about it, and when they become intimately involved in these special places, they all of a sudden they can connected with their community, and it makes this even more special place to live. And they're like, I can't believe we're not doing more to save these places. And so that's our job, is to try to get the word out. Nashville does not have a local history museum like other cities, like Knoxville and Chattanooga. Atlanta has the Atlanta History Center, and we like to remedy that in the future and have a Nashville History Center where you could go to and learn all about every place in Nashville, the history. Right now it's kind of piecemeal. But we lead towards like the Civil Rights Room at the Public Library, Fisk University. This month's Black History Month, so we're really focused on Black historic sites and things of that nature, and so we just like to grow those programs.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to make sure we've got some dates on the upcoming event, and also talk a little bit about how people can get involved if they want to get involved. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.